we begin with the Supreme Court judgment affirming the financial autonomy of the local government system in Nigeria and the debate it has continued to generate. The Supreme Court, in its judgment, directed that the financial allocations meant for running all 774 local government areas in the country be paid directly to the local councils. The Apex Court said state governments have no right to keep and manage fund allocations on behalf of the local governments, describing the practice as unconstitutional. The federal government, through the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, had instituted a case against the 36 state governors. And Justice Emmanuel Agim, who read the lead judgment, maintained that state governors had over the years used the privileges conferred on them by the 1999 Constitution to, quote, defraud and rob the local governments of their rights. And the court equally ruled that the allocation to local governments should be paid directly only to democratically elected local government councils, saying that state governors have no right to dissolve any democratically elected local government chairman of officers using state powers. Now, the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON, have welcomed the Supreme Court judgment, describing it as victory and restoration of hope for democracy in the country. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and Governor of Kwara State, Abdulrazak Abdurrahman, says the Supreme Court's ruling on local government financial autonomy will, quote, relieve the burden on governors. Let's listen to him.
We welcome the ruling of the Supreme Court. Compliance is a given, and our Attorney Generals have applied for the enrollment order, which we'll study carefully. But by and large, governors are happy with the devolution of power in respect to local government autonomy. It relieves the burden on governors. People really don't know how much states expense in bailing out local governments. The forum will meet next Wednesday to look at the issue wholly and then come up with a resolution on that.
Kwara State Governor there and Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Abdulrazak. Well, to better understand the Supreme Court's judgment and the issues raised, Arise News has built a panel to help us understand the issues. First on the panel, we have the head of the Department of Public and International Law at the Nile University of Nigeria, based in Abuja here, Dr. Sirajo Yakubu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And also here is a former member of the House of Representatives and former local government councillor in Lagos State, Honorable Egoh. Thank you so much for joining us.
To be around once more.
Well, completing our panel for the discussion is the former chairman of Karo Local Government Council and former commissioner in Nasarawa State, Honorable Samuel Akala, joining us from our Overflow studio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. Let's begin with you, Honorable Member, former member representing Amodofin Federal Constituency, Honorable Egoh. Does this look like a usurpation of the National Assembly's powers to actually make laws? Because it looks like what has happened now is what lawyers call a case law.
Yeah.
And the National Assembly's ability to make law has been removed from it, and we have a new law inserted by the Apex Court.
No, I don't think it's a usurpation of the powers of the National Assembly. If you recall, both in the 8th and 9th Assembly, where I was a member, we tried to make the local governments autonomous. And indeed, we passed it by 2/3 majority. We went through the Senate and came. We did the third reading, and we passed the law to the presidency, which, in fact, gave a nod to it. But it has to go around all the states. We needed to third majority in the 37 states of the 36 states of the Federation. When it went round, we couldn't get the majority. The governors killed it. They got the State House of Assembly members to kill it. And you know, the State House of Assembly members too, enjoy the power where they can punish the local government. Some local government chairmen have a bigger place than the State House of Assembly members. They have more vote. In other words, the support of the people, they have it more. But what happened is that once people get to State House of Assembly, you look down on the local government.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the State House of Assembly member coming out to suspend his local government chairman? It's unthinkable. So I think what has happened now is good. Left to the National Assembly, they wanted to do this constitutionally. And indeed, we tried in the 8th and 9th Assembly. But the governors will not allow it.
Yeah, because
the
you
state
wanted to touch
will
their
not allow
milk pot.
it. That is it. So I think it's a case law now. I think kudos to the Supreme Court for the action they have taken.
All right, and your view from the perspective of lawmaking generally and this fundamental law that the Supreme Court seems to have couched now through this judgment, what should Nigerians know more about this process of tinkering with the ground norm of the country without necessarily going through the National Assembly?
Well, I think, let me say this, the Supreme Court do not think of the law, actually, because the Supreme Court, and especially the Supreme Court, has two functions. It has judicial functions, which is what normally people know about, and then it has also a policy-making function. In the process of judicial function, it interprets the law. That is one of its cardinal functions. And in this case, what it just did is to interpret the law. It didn't make any other law, even though they have the power to make law. Actually, the problem is the 1999 Constitution is full of, lacunas. If I say it is, in most cases, you see it's vague, because you see one section conflicting with another section. 7 of the Constitution made it very clear that the local governments, the system is established by the Constitution. But in other sections, you see the Constitution itself giving powers to state to administer the
and that actually, that's where the contradiction comes. We say we have 3 tiers of government, but the governors keep saying that we only have 2, the center and
that's absolutely
the state.
That is absolutely wrong for anybody, and it's sentimental for anybody to say, because the Constitution is very clear. We have separation of powers. If you look at the history of separation of powers, it has a purpose. Before the powers, all the 3 powers are fused into one hand. Gradually, through the work of John Locke and then Baron de Montesquieu, we were able to achieve this separation of powers, which is constitutional lawyers' term as the horizontal separation of powers, where you have 3 arms of government. But again, we have another separation of power, which is called vertical. You have the federal, you have the state government, and you have the local government, and each and every one of them is supposed to be autonomous. But I think the 1999 transition was hurried up, and because of that, a bad constitution was actually given to Nigeria. So it is the function of the Supreme Court to actually interpret and make the laws straight. Like the Honorable said, you see, the National Assembly always try to amend the constitutional provisions that are vague, so that they can be very clear. And those provisions that actually hinder democracy itself. But states, they don't want that, especially when they feel that their powers are being eroded. And one thing they fail to understand is that they are overloading themselves. Before 1999, many people who knew the gate of government house now, they don't know it before. Nobody cares who was the governor of a state.
Once the local governments are working.
Yeah, because the local government was actually functioning. I am privileged, I would say, I was privileged to work in local government. And I knew then when local government was autonomous, how it was run and how it functioned. Like in my state, let me give you an example. When President Eradua took over in 1999 as the governor of the state. Yes, at the governor of Kaduna State, everybody knows that he did not start work immediately. He instituted some reforms and he saved money to do some project, because he doesn't believe in giving contract without money to pay, because somebody of high integrity. During these 2 years, actually, it were the local governments that were doing a lot of work, from feeder road maintenance to sinking of boreholes, to providing to renovation of schools, and so on and so on. So it's a very critical tier of government for any governor. who actually knows what he's doing. Any governor that says that there are only 2 tiers, then it means that there's something wrong in him.
All right, Dr. Sirajo, we'll just ask you to hold on there. We'll bring in Honorable Akala. Talk to us about what this means for local governments in Nigeria going forward. I hope we won't be transferring emperors from state governors to now local government chairmen who will be wielding powers and becoming overlords in local communities.
Well, thank you very much. As far as I'm concerned, this is Freedom Day for the 3rd tier of government in Nigeria. While I was the local government chairman in Karo, I had always maintained, even while in office, and you know how elections that got people into local government has been after the 1999, because this problem came after 1999, from 2003. When governors rose and got the National Assembly to amend the law to create the state joint account. So while I was in the office, I had always maintained that the local government remains the tier of government that caters for the generality of Nigerians. The local government is supposed to be the strongest tier of government, but unfortunately it has been abandoned, and the local government can't even perform the function for which it was created for. So this judgment is apt, for every discerning mind will know now that the battleground for development, the battleground for security of lives and properties of this country is the local government. Every citizen of Nigeria resides in the local government. There is no Nigerian that resides in either federal or state government. And for any governor to say that we have 2 tiers of government, then there is a problem somewhere. And there is no governor that should tell any Nigerian that they used to bail out the local government. The best they can do is to lend money to local government. By the way, the federal government bails out states to pay off their liabilities, to pay off their bills. There are times in this country where you have bailout funds sent to state government to pay salaries, to augment their budgets. So for me, this is the best times for this country, and we expect state governors, state government to kindly respect the decision of the Supreme Court, and to add that, look, laws of our countries can either be amended by the Supreme Court or the state or the National Assembly concurrence with the 36 to 3rd of the 36 state houses of assembly. Over the years, it hasn't ever gotten that concurrence because even the state house of assembly themselves do not want financial independence. You are aware in this country that state houses of assembly voted against their own financial independence. So you cannot expect them to give independence to a local government where they know that the governor manages the local government to provide platform where they get their party tickets, fund their elections, fund other activities that are not directly having bearings on the lives of the people. So no governor will be happy with this development. Or you are aware that they have always come out to say they don't tamper with the funds of the local government. But all of them filed in defense against the freedom for local government at the Supreme Court.
I mean, I just want you to hold on there because Honorable Egoh is actually wanting to intervene on that matter. I mean, these are state governors who are saying that, I mean, they welcome this judgment and all of that. But he has pointed something critical. They all filed a defense. So what can you say about that, Honorable Egoh?
Well, first of all, let me commend President Tinubu. I've always said he's the boldest president that have ruled this country. A president who can take a powerful decision. Because at the end of the day, it's the decision you take as a president that will live after your day. Now, several presidents have been trying to do this. Like I said in 8th and 9th Assembly. We passed the same law, but it didn't hold because the governors couldn't do it. But the president stood and allowed his Attorney General to go to the Supreme Court to have interpretation. And today, there's freedom, like the local government chamber said, for all local government in the federation. Indeed, we need development at the local level. The state headquarters is too far from a lot of the local government. And if a local government is not allowed to have autonomy to work, if they have to run to the state headquarters every time with House of Assembly members suspending them, you know, kicking them here and there, and the governor strengthening them, of course there will be no development. But now, a council chairman will now be voted for based on his performance. Before, nobody was bothered. You vote for the state government, what is happening. But now we know that every local government, everybody in the locality, is to hold the local government chairman responsible for their activity.
All right, but could it be that President Tinubu had also, you know, in the course of time, understood properly what the role of local government is? Yes, because I mean, you remember that fight between him and former President Olusegun Obasanjo that time. It was a tough one. I mean, the local government funds were withheld and all of that. And I think it was when he was meeting with the Arewa Consultative Forum leadership, he maintained that when they want to campaign, they go to the local government. But after winning elections, they come to be state governors, and then, of course, at the federal level. But now, talk to us about how we could have sustainability in this without abuse of the powers that will be given to local government chairmen. You have been a councillor before. I have. So how do we prevent local government chairmen from suppressing councillors? Because some of the councillors are not functioning at the local government level.
Now, the councillors need to sit upright. When I was a councillor, you know, in 87, I was a councillor. At that time, we knew our powers. We know that two-thirds majority of our vote can remove the local government chairman. But today, every councillor runs after the chairman. The councillors are supposed to know that they are the legislative arm of the council, and it is their duty to monitor the council chairman. They have to have oversight on the council chairman's work. They have to indeed approve the council chairman's budget. And if the council chairman is not doing what is right, of course, they can impeach him by two-thirds majority. Once the councillors are aware of their power, I'm sure the local government chairman will sit. And now the local government chairman also know that all eyes are on them. Unlike before, when you say, oh, as the state, the governor said this. Now there's no governor saying anything. There's no House of Assembly saying anything. And we in the House of Rep, while we're there, we cannot impeach a governor of a state. So why should the House of Assembly members impeach a local government chairman? In fact, it's an insult on the Constitution. And I think Mr. President is aware of the importance of local government chairmen, the extent to which they can do things. In Lagos in those days, we use total road. We do big projects. We don't need the permission of the governor to do it. But now, everybody runs to local. So that's why I say Mr. President needs to be praised for taking this bold action. And I think he needs to take it in a host of other areas in the constitutional amendment, because most of the good things that need to be done for the country, the governors and the State House of Assembly, they would allow it to be done.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a very huge challenge during constitutional amendment. Dr. Surajo, let's talk about how there is a talk there that, look, the Supreme Court is certainly a very dangerous precedent, because when you have 3 tiers of government, as we have heard, in terms of the powers to be able to function, the tendency here is that the federal government from Abuja will be directing local government directly, will be relating with them directly, and it could push the governors away to one side. And local government chairmen may be tempted to be taking orders from Abuja. What do you make of that?
Well, thank you very much. Let me begin by saying this. You know, politics is one of the most complex and uncertain game or uncertain activity. The fact that now local governments are made autonomous does not mean that president from Abuja can control them. And in fact,
yeah, but he will be giving them money directly.
Well, of course, because that is their money.
Yeah, right.
It is their money, and they need to have that money for them to carry out their functions. I think there's no any dangerous precedent set by the Supreme Court. I have already explained the function. And I think Nigeria, we need to even do more to emancipate democracy, because democracy at the moment is strangled. I don't think we have real democracy in Nigeria, because the will of the people is not prevailing. In most elections, you see, if a governor of your state doesn't back you, you can't even scale a primary election.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why, actually, sorry to interrupt you, that's why the talk here is that maybe towards 2027, President Tinubu, having seen how powerful the governors are, is trying to cut them free so that he's able to relate directly with the local government, and they don't have a hand in who becomes president directly.
I don't want to be discuss personal issues, but I think I have to, just like the Honorable said, commend President Tinubu for being a Democrat. I could remember he proved himself to be a real Nadeko guy. He fought the military to restore democracy. He did that. He needs to fight anybody, whosoever, to institutionalize and deepen our own democracy. This fight has just started. The fact that Supreme Court has ruled that money should be sent to the local government direct is not the only solution. We have to do more constitutional amendment. One, the power, and that's why I said there is contradiction in the constitution. Before 99, it is the NEC, then as it was then called, that conduct election for every tier of the state.
But which is also an aberration. Why should a federal entity be conducting election for local governments?
You see there is something here. It is the fact that the INEC is within the federal federal government tier doesn't mean that it is not independent. Everybody knows that INEC is, if INEC was not independent, then President Jonathan wouldn't have lost election. Who is a real man, who showed that he placed his interest above, national interest above his own interest. So INEC, as it were, because there was no problem, nobody could tell us that before 99 there was problem with NEC conducting election. And the real problem that we are having now is that unless the power to conduct election for local governments is removed from the state will control these funds from the
and that will be the problem with our federalism, because the federal government should not be conducting elections for states and local governments.
Let me land Mr. Have you before 99, you see that election is conducted in a state where, let's say, for example, during NRC SDP, you have some local governments chairman that are SDP, some NRC, and the state governor is in the is one of the parties. Now any party that is in power in the state, when it comes to local government election, it is that party that won. So you see, there is no democracy. We are fooling ourselves, and the whole world is watching. So I'm calling on the president to continue with this reform unless Nigerians solidly come behind him. Anybody can be a governor tomorrow. Among us here and other people. I'll be very glad, even if I were to be a governor, that we deepen our own democracy, and I place my interest within the national interest instead of having my personal interest overriding the national interest.
All right, very important submission there. Yes. And I'm very sure some of the governors are just putting up a public face, because we hear that many of them are actually not happy with one of their former colleagues, that's President Tinubu, for going ahead with these reforms. But of course, like you said, national interest should override any other interest. Now, let's bring you in, Akala. Let's talk about this aspect of the Supreme Court saying that, look, these local government funds will only be given to democratically elected local government chairmen, and that there should no longer be caretaker committees and all of that.
Yes, of course. That is the law. The truth of the matter is that, just like you have rightly said, the governors are not smiling. They will only pretend to say, oh, we applaud the judgment of the Supreme Court. They are plotting to see how they can thwart the implementation of this judgment. For states that run caretaker committees, the Constitution is very clear, Section 7, Section 1, that the only system of government that is guaranteed under the Constitution is a democratically elected system of government. Anything outside that, it means there is no government in that local government. Therefore, the Supreme Court has said that once there is no democratically elected officials in any local government, no agent of the state, no agent of the local government should have access to the funds accruing to that local government, meaning that those funds will be warehoused until there is an elected officials in that local government. And this is the way to go. This is new dawn. So governors, because of their immunity, they have constituted themselves to alpha and omegas in their various states. And that is why they can go ahead to do whatever they feel as to do. Governors will be in office. They know that the terms of local government officials is expiring at a stipulated time. They would deliberately refuse to conduct election, allow that term to expire, and then they bring in caretaker committee or sole administrator, or ask the heads of administration in various local government to head the local government. This is clear up front on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. For instance, there are a lot of states in Nigeria today, talk about Kaduna, Nasarawa, whose terms of local government officials will expire in October. The state INEC has not started commencing any form of preparation to conduct election. It then means that those states are planning to have caretaker committees, you know, and you have state houses of assembly in those states. They are not talking. They have not called the governors to order, and that is why I have maintained that there is nothing independent about the state electoral body. There is nothing independent, because if they are independent, they do not need the governor to give them approval to conduct election for officials of local government whose term will expire.
All right.
Once the term of local government officials is 1 year to expiration, the state electoral body will automatically kickstart preparation for election. And that is why I have maintained that we do not need the state electoral body. In any case, why should we create a state electoral body? Is the local government inferior to the state government and federal government?
Well, I mean, this has been an ongoing discussion, Honorable Akala, and I can tell you clearly that even INEC said that it would be too wieldy for them to be conducting local government elections across the country. But on one hand again, most of the state independent electoral commissions have always been seeking the support of INEC for them to conduct elections, because they don't even have a database of all the voters in their area. So, I mean, how we are going to move out of this is the major challenge here. But just before I'll bring other people in, also, how do we ensure that councillors hold local government chairmen accountable and we do not have monies being diverted? Because some of your colleagues, I mean, they live in towns or inside cities and only go to the local governments on payday. And they don't live there, they don't know what is happening there. How do we ensure that they do not use these funds to build mansions in Abuja or Lagos and leave their people pauperized?
Now, the reason why we have that is because you have highly incompetent local government officials. That's because the governor sits at the comfort of his office and selects those that will be chairmen of local government and councillors. So you will find out that there are councillors who could not speak English. There are councillors who cannot read and write, and then they find themselves representing various electoral wards. So you do not expect those set of officials to be able to carry out their duties effectively, you know. So it boils down to the quality of leaders that the local government elections has produced. Therefore, if you have elections that is transparent, that is open to opposition participation, not where you have officials or councillors that belong to one political party, chairman that belongs to one political party. The governors would directly tell them, look, I have got you into these offices to just get what you can eat and then take instructions from me. So you do not expect those set of officials to have the guts and courage to carry out their official duties and constitutional responsibilities. The councillors are empowered by law to engage in bylaws, enact bylaws, and of course approve budgets for local government chairman, executive arm, and of course oversight the implementation of that budget. But I can tell you, there is hardly any local government you will see that you see a chairman publicly presenting appropriation bill to the legislative arm for them to approve, and the chairman signs into law, and then the legislative arm painstakingly, through its various committees, oversight the implementation of those budgets. And that is why you see that the local government has been converted to a place where friends and associates of the governors are serviced, and some stakeholders of the areas are serviced. And you find them having over-bloated staff lists because they feel, oh, this is my time.
I'll just ask you to hold on there as we try to coast home. Honorable Egoh, I mean, these are a plethora of issues, because now local governments would have to fully function without any attempt by anyone to stop them. So we must see budgets being presented by local government chairmen. That is what he is saying, and councillors playing their role and all of that. But there is this controversy about the elections. Dr. Sirajo had said that, look, we should allow INEC to now be conducting elections. Wouldn't it be too unwieldy for INEC?
Now that local governments have financial autonomy, and now that the Supreme Court have ruled that the governors and State House of Assembly members don't have a right to remove them. Because don't forget, these people were elected by the people, and State House of Assembly members were also elected, so they don't have a right. Now, with this autonomy, I can tell you for free that quality people will want to become local government chairman now. Quality people will now want to become councillors. And let me say that this freedom that has come to the local government comes at a price, because people will now hold the local government chairman and their councillors responsible. And that is where they are to work. For instance, right now, people are crying there's hunger all over the land. And then some people say, oh, there's hunger. Oh, Tinubu is the cause of the hunger. But I said, no. There are 774 local governments. Every local government that needs to encourage these people to do farming. In fact, every local government, especially rural local governments, must ensure that several hectares of land are farmed, just like the state government are supposed to ensure. Why will people be crying tomatoes or cassava stem to farm? These are the things that the local government will do, so that the local government, once election comes, they can go to the rural area and say, we are provided bumper harvest.
That's if the local government chairman don't embezzle funds, like governors have been alleged to be doing.
Yes, embezzling fund, once there are quality councillors here, at our time, the chairman has to present budget to us. And then I used to have running battle with my local government chairman, Femi Davis, you know, and that's why up to today, he still respects me, several years after we've left the council. You see, the councillors don't know why they are there. They will need to be trained to know that they have to have committee meeting, they have to have oversight, and they also have to be the people to do appropriation. If they don't appropriate money, the council chairman cannot spend it. So now we are getting to a situation where you will have quality people in local government. And we cannot afford that we go to the local government, it will help you. But let me put a caveat here. Yeah. There are some local governments that were very small in those days. They have become very big cosmopolitan cities now. And so they have a lot of students in the primary school, a lot of health workers. Right. Some of them may have difficulty in paying their DC. But like my former colleague there said, even the federal government used to bail out states when they have problems. Yeah. If such cases happen, and the money for that local government is not enough to pay teachers, of course the state should help to bail them out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the angle. So they should not I want to bring doctors right.
So they don't need, the governors don't need to use that to blackmail the local government to say, oh, we do a lot for you, and that kind of thing. Yeah. But there are some other local government that are rural. Their teachers are fewer, they don't have health center. So government still need to rejig the revenue allocation to favor local governments in very urban areas with a lot of teachers, a lot of workers because of urbanization.
All right, very quickly, as we try to conclude this conversation, Dr. Sirajo, I mean, this has brought out this plethora of issues. In fact, people are even saying that maybe we should even discard states. I mean, like it's done in the UK, you just have the central government and then the councils and all of that. Yeah. From all that you've heard from them, what's your concluding point about this?
Well, I think if we can achieve that, I would love a situation whereby instead of copying United States to have a federal system of government, we have the parliamentary. Because if we have this kind of arrangement and we have only 2 tiers, then the central and the local government, if you take the UK model, it is functioning very, very well. It is functioning well. So, and I heard you talking about the issue of funding education. But education, I think is it is in the constitution, if I can remember, or there's a law that the 3 tiers are responsible for education.
What is it? And
monies are deducted from the local government, state, and federal, and then channels towards primary, and I think up to 3 in the secondary school. This should not be a problem. About accountability, now it is the people who must rise to hold not only the chairman and councillors, they should hold everybody to account, including governors. It's because people think that this money belongs to the governors. You see on social media that people they praising governors, chairman, and co that they have done this for them. This money is in their hand in trust for the public, but the public don't know. So the people should rise up.
People should be better educated.
Should be
that is their money, not the money of governors or local government.
And they are there to serve. And in democracy, what people don't realize is that in democracy, you see, you didn't ask anybody to come and contest. They come and lobby and say, please vote for me. But once we voted for them, you now surrender. They are not, people supposed not to surrender to the elected officials. They put them there to serve them, and they should be able to check them.
All right, sir. Yes. Well, thank you so much. Dr. Surajo Yakubu is the head of department at the Nile University of Nigeria. Most thank you so much for your contributions to this discussion. Of course, Honorable Egoh, Egoh is a former federal House of Rep members representing Amodofin Federal Constituency, a very large metropolitan area, like you have said, and I wonder how the local governments cope within those kind of systems. We must thank you so much for providing an insight into all of this discussion. And of course, Honorable Samuel Akala is a former chairman of Karo local government area in Nasarawa State and a former commissioner in the state. We must thank you so much for providing a huge insight. And I'm very sure that all the local government chairmen in Nigeria will be very happy with President Tinubu for this precedence that has been set. And we just hope more reforms continue to happen because, I mean, that's what the APC and President Tinubu promised Nigerians. Let's hope we'll continue to get those gains.